With so many superhero shows out there, they can't all stick the landing. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst live-action superhero shows. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at TV series that feature super characters, but that's the only super thing about them.
An eye for an eye.
Also, don't expect to see any bad cartoons mentioned here. Number 10, Inhumans.
We need to go to Earth now. We need to strike first.
It would only lead to war.
After debuting on IMAX screens across the country, Marvel's Inhumans was widely considered a disaster by both critics and audiences alike. Initially planned as a feature film to be released during Marvel's Phase 3, the project was eventually pulled and later rushed to the small screen as quickly and cheaply as possible. And it shows. From awful costume design to poor special effects, everything about this project stands in opposition to the strong reputation Marvel has cultivated up until this point. There's also a huge disparity between the scenes that were shot in IMAX and those that weren't, making the viewing experience even more jarring. Hopefully, this is not a sign of things to come from Marvel.
Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying.
Number 9, Birds of Prey.
My name is Alfred Pennyworth, and I have a story to tell.
Imagine a world where Batman abandons Gotham City, leaving Black Canary, Oracle, and Huntress to pick up the pieces. Sounds like a pretty cool premise for a show, right? They even had Harley Quinn as the big bad.
I want you to lose your mind.
Unfortunately, the results of Birds of Prey never lived up to the promise of the premise. Pretty much an amalgamation of every bad superhero trope, this series' pilot episode actually set a viewership record, but steeply declined from there. The show did make it to the end of its first and only season, but was cancelled before any work on the second season would begin.
Maybe a little help sometimes isn't so bad.
Number 8, The Thundermans.
We're just getting it started for you. You know, like when I can't open a jar and you get it started for me.
What happens when a kids' television network tries to cash in on the popularity of superheroes? You get The Thundermans. Blending the superhero genre with a family sitcom, The Thundermans is like The Incredibles, but without all the stuff that made it interesting. To make matters worse, the show doesn't do anything new in terms of sitcoms aimed at children. It still features families bickering with one another, a forced laugh track, and cringeworthy jokes that practically never land. The superpowers are just a distraction from the real villain, the show itself.
And this is the greatest family ever.
Number 7, The Cape.
You're the one wearing long underwear and a cape.
Fair enough.
The Dark Knight is one of the greatest superhero films of all time, so it makes sense that other producers would try and cash in on its success. That being said, we never did think we'd get something like this. This bizarre show stars a cop who receives a special cape that can stretch and grab various objects in combat. While that's not inherently bad, the show takes itself way too seriously for that premise to work. It's a clash of campy superhero action and a realistic setting, and the result just feels wrong.
So keep your damn cape. I don't need it.
Number 6, Flash Gordon. Fans of the 80s Flash Gordon film were excited to hear that the character would be returning in the 2000s with a brand new TV show. However, their excitement quickly turned to disgust when the reboot finally premiered. The first few episodes were so poorly received that it scared off just about anybody who tried watching it. Critics said that Flash Gordon later improved on its tone, direction, acting, and characters, but the beginning of the show was so bad that nobody bothered to return to it, and it was cancelled after just one season.
Don't move.
Well, what can I say? It's me.
Number 5, Nightman.
This has gotta be the most incredible sight.
Most superheroes are billionaires, inventors, or lawyers. Johnny Domino, the alter ego of Nightman, is instead a saxophone player. Due to his skills as a musician, he is, and we quote, tuned to the frequency of evil. After being struck by lightning, Nightman is able to literally hear the schemes of criminals.
Cutting through it like a veritable knife.
On top of that, Domino constructed a bulletproof suit that allows him to fly and looks like something out of Batman and Robin. As you might expect, all of these factors lead to a show that is campy, unbelievable, and packed to the brim with cliches. After 2 seasons, it was time to say goodnight to the Nightman.
Very good.
Kill him!
Number 4, Masked Rider.
You just drink your juice, son. I'm sure everything's gonna be just fine.
The actual story of the Masked Rider character is pretty dark, so it comes as a complete shock that the show was focused on comedy above all else. Basically, they threw some action into a sitcom. And yes, it was every bit as agonizing to watch as it sounds. The dialogue was also pretty terrible, ranging from almost acceptable and campy to downright painful to endure. What's more, the show's action was jarring to watch, with so many cuts in between that it was difficult to know what was going on. Perhaps the only good thing that came out of the show was a crossover with the Power Rangers.
We came because our friend Alpha 5 believed you were in danger.
Number 3, Ninja Turtles, the next mutation.
You're gonna bust your noggin, Leo.
No, Mikey, I'm gonna break the bricks.
Adapting a story for television is one thing, but when you throw the lore out the window altogether, you end up with something like this. Notice the lack of teenage in the title here. That's because our heroes in a half shell are now adults, which takes away a lot of their personality. The show also introduced many original characters that don't fit the franchise as fans have come to know it. You know, characters like the 5th Turtle, a female named Venus de Milo who used magic to fight enemies. This aspect of the show was so bad that Turtles co-creator Peter Laird refuses to acknowledge that Venus ever happened.
The gunk is magic.
Magic?
Number 2, The Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of the most popular superheroes ever created, so a TV show about him seems easy enough. However, there are so many problems with this series that it's considered to be one of the worst adaptations of the character ever made. First of all, there are no villains in the show. Don't expect any familiar faces like Green Goblin or Doc Ock. Secondly, there are a ton of changes made to the character, all but erasing his comic book origins, save for the spider bite. Lastly, one of the only parts of the comics they did take inspiration from was the Clone Saga. Needless to say, it was a recipe for disaster.
I feel like such a fool calling you a coward like I did. I didn't realize you were Spider-Man.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
You know what? Have you noticed a lot of things have been disappearing in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, my basketball's missing too.
Let's blow some bubbles and fight some crime.
Number 1, Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. If the name isn't enough of an indication, this show is contrived, ridiculous, and downright atrocious according to the viewers, critics, and pretty much anyone who tuned in. The show stars 4 teens who were bestowed with magical tattoos from an alien blob. However, the tattoos aren't just your average ink. They glow when trouble is afoot, and give the teenagers portals to travel through, which then transform them into horrible-looking heroes. Still with us? You won't be after we tell you they can all combine to form a giant knight. We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
So if we get it dysfunctioning, we can destroy it?
Correct. Good work. But you must hurry.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.